My mom, always so serene and detached, often said her biggest regret was marrying my nouveau riche dad. When they divorced, I chose my elegant, seemingly non-materialistic mom. Turns out, elegant meant I got scolded for eating well, slapped for wearing nice clothes, and berated for wanting my room back from my mooching aunt, uncle, and cousin. Just like your low-class father, she'd sneer. Obsessed with material possessions. Disgusting. Later, when my uncle racked up massive gambling debts and tried to sell me for his organs, I begged Mom to save me. She just frowned. He's your uncle. What's wrong with helping him out? Don't be selfish like your father. Always thinking about money. I died on an operating table, hollowed out. Then I woke up. Back to the moment my parents asked who I wanted to live with. It's just a little money. My brother needed a house for his wedding, so I gave him a villa. What's the big deal? Money is just a thing. My mom shrieked. You only care about money. You reek of new money. That's the difference between real wealth and, well, you. Your bankruptcy proves it. We're getting a divorce. I can't even communicate with you. Dad clenched his fists, taking a deep breath. Fine. Divorce. But that villa was my last property. It was supposed to be Chloe's dowry. You need to get it back. Mom acted like he'd suggested something truly appalling, closing her eyes for a dramatic pause. Finally, they both looked at me. Chloe, this is happening because of you. Choose who you want to live with. Mom effortlessly shifted the blame, but Dad just ruffled my hair. It has nothing to do with her. It's your actions that led to this. It was the same scene as last time. Mom, serenely perched on the sofa, radiating indifference. Dad, pacing furiously. Before, I'd seen Mom as calm and reasonable. I'd chosen her without hesitation. A year of living with her had revealed the truth. Dad's anger was a direct response to her manipulations. Remembering my gruesome fate, I walked straight to my dad. Dad, I want to be with you. The anger drained from his face, replaced by surprise. Mom barely glanced my way, then resumed her detached pose. Like father, like daughter. Fine. You're both shallow, obsessed with money. You'll never understand the virtue of being above such things. Dad covered my ears, protecting me from the poison. Since Chloe's coming with me, you need to return that villa. As for the rest of our assets, I'll have my lawyers contact you. I pulled Dad's hand away and looked at Mom. Would someone so above money even care about a mere house? A flicker of something, annoyance, crossed her face before she smoothed it over. She was committed to this performance. Fine, I'll leave with nothing. You'll never understand true elegance. She swept upstairs, packed a small bag and left. I hope you don't become corrupted, she said, her voice dripping with disdain. I laughed. This was corrupted? I hoped she wouldn't become corrupted when she had no money left. Last time, after choosing Mom, Dad left with practically nothing. The villa, my supposed dowry, was immediately gifted to my uncle. Within 2 months, they moved into our house. The villa was too big, they couldn't afford a cleaning lady, and the utilities were too expensive. They started ruling the roost. First, they demanded Mom cook for them. After a week of vegetarian meals, Mom's cleanse, they forced me to cook. I was in 9th grade, studying for exams, and constantly covered in burns. Mom didn't care. We're family, she'd say. Don't be so focused on petty things. Now that your father's gone, don't pick up his bad habits. I despised that. With no support from my own mother, I was powerless. I cooked and studied, my hands blistered and aching. My cousin took over my room. When I protested, Mom said, "You're just like your low-class father, obsessed with material things." I wasn't obsessed with material things. I just wanted to live normally in my own home. Meanwhile, her brother gambled away the villa and all our remaining money. Desperate, he decided to sell me. When I begged Mom for help, she'd said, "He's your family. What's a little money? Don't be selfish with money like your father." If living a normal life without being exploited was corrupted, then let me be corrupted. Dad was new money. Our neighborhood got rezoned and overnight we were rich, but he didn't splurge. He started a small business. It had been doing well until recently, when things suddenly took a downturn. After Mom left, I went through her things. The irony was thick. Her closet held nothing under $2,000. Her vanity was covered in designer skincare. Even her toner was over $100. She was the one living the high life, yet she accused us of being materialistic. The hypocrisy was stunning. I wondered how her elegance would hold up without Dad's money. A pounding on the door interrupted my thoughts. Downstairs, my greedy uncle and aunt were confronting Dad. My sister gave us that villa. It's ours. We're married now. Where are we supposed to live? A spoiled brat like Chloe doesn't deserve a villa for a dowry. Their entitlement was identical to last time. But this time, I had Dad. Dad's large frame was a shield. Your marriage has nothing to do with me. That's my house. We're divorcing. I'm not giving you my property as a wedding gift. The mention of divorce caught their attention. They conferred as if we weren't there. Divorce? She didn't tell us. What about us? She'll get half, right? Aunt nudged Uncle, who turned back to us. Right. You filed, so you're at fault. You leave with nothing. The house goes to my sister. Dad hesitated, but I jumped in. Did you not talk to Mom before coming here? She's leaving with nothing. She said she doesn't care about our filthy money. Their jaws dropped. What? Is she crazy? Dad called security and gave them the boot. If she wants to discuss assets, she can come talk to me herself. I nodded enthusiastically. Elegant and detached, huh? I'd see how long that lasted. 2 days passed. No word from Mom. Dad's situation, however, was deteriorating. His business debts were piling up. I hated seeing him stressed, so I suggested, Dad, let's sell the villa. Before he could object, I continued, it's in a great location. It'll sell for a lot. We can pay off the debts and still have some left. You can rebuild. His eyes reddened. He wiped his face and ruffled my hair. I thought you'd side with your mother. Don't worry. I'll take care of you. No matter what, I smiled. Last time, with Mom, I had material comfort, but no love, only exploitation. Now things were tough, but I felt secure. Dad, sell it fast, before they try something. He contacted a realtor. The villa was listed, and with its prime location, we had an interested buyer immediately. It could fetch over $3 million. The buyer scheduled a viewing that day. On a whim, I tagged along. I didn't expect to run into my uncle and his family at the gate. The buyer loved the house and was ready to sign. Just as he was about to hand Dad a check, my uncle and aunt stormed out. He ripped up the check. We were stunned. John, what are you doing? Dad yelled, moving towards him. Uncle pulled his wife forward as a shield. Dad clenched his fists. Fearing he'd lose control, I grabbed his arm. Dad, call Mom. She created this mess. She could fix it. Uncle and Aunt camped out by the gate. No one's getting past us. Dad, fuming, called Mom. Get them out of here. If you sat there and pretend you're some enlightened saint while your brother destroys a $3 million sale, then congratulations. You've achieved peak elegance. For the first time since the divorce, Mom sounded flustered. What are you talking about? Dad put the phone on speaker. Uncle immediately shouted toward it. Sis, tell him the villa belongs to us. We already told everyone it's our wedding house. A long silence followed. Then Mom said carefully, John, why are you at the villa? Uncle blinked. What do you mean why? It's ours. No, Mom replied. Her voice had suddenly become very cold. It isn't. The silence was so complete I could hear birds chirping. What? Aunt asked. You gave it to us. No. I expected the house to remain available for family use. I did not transfer ownership. Uncle's face twisted. Sis, are you serious? Very. The buyer folded his arms, watching the family drama unfold. Dad smirked. I almost laughed. For the first time in my life, Mom's fake elegance was colliding with her family's greed. Unfortunately for her, greed was stronger. You lying bitch. Uncle exploded. Everyone froze. Even Mom went silent. You promised us that house. We already sold ours. You sold your apartment? Mom asked weakly. Of course we did. You said we'd live in a villa. We spent the money. Dad burst out laughing. Not a polite laugh. A full-bodied, tears in his eyes laugh. You sold your own home before you even owned this one? The buyer laughed too. Uncle's face turned purple. Then he completely lost his mind. He picked up a landscaping stone and hurled it through one of the villa's front windows. Crash. The buyer stepped back immediately. Deal's off. My heart sank. $3 million. Gone. Dad's expression turned murderous. Security rushed forward. Police were called. Uncle, aunt, and my cousin were arrested for property damage and trespassing. As they were shoved into police cars, Uncle screamed into his phone. "This is your fault, sis. You fix this." Then the call disconnected. That night Mom finally showed up. Not because she cared about us. Because she cared about the villa. She walked into Dad's office and closed the door. For 3 hours they argued. I listened from the hallway. The truth came out piece by piece. Mom had been lying for years. Her wealthy upbringing? Fake. Her aristocratic relatives? Fake. Her refined education? Mostly fake. She'd reinvented herself after meeting Dad. Everything elegant about her had been financed by him. The designer clothes. The skincare. The luxury vacations. The expensive charity galas where she lectured everyone about materialism. Dad finally snapped. "Do you know what your problem is? Silence. You've never been above money." His voice shook with fury. "You worship money. You just want everyone else to pretend they don't." The door opened. Mom walked out with tears streaming down her face. For once, she had no comeback. Then things got worse. Much worse. Because Uncle got out on bail. And he was desperate. The gambling sharks he owed money to weren't interested in excuses anymore. 3 weeks later, he kidnapped Mom. Not me. Not Dad. Her. He dragged her into an abandoned warehouse and demanded $5 million from Dad. Dad stared at the ransom message. Then handed it directly to the police. "I'm divorced from her." The officers looked stunned. Dad shrugged. "Ask her brother. He's the one who kidnapped her." The rescue happened 2 days later. The police stormed the warehouse. The gamblers scattered. Uncle tried to flee through a loading yard. And that's when fate decided to get creative. A transport truck carrying prefabricated swimming pools entered the yard. One of the massive fiberglass pools hadn't been secured properly. The strap snapped. The pool slid off the trailer. It hit a stack of metal pipes. The pipes rolled. Uncle slipped trying to dodge them. The entire pool came crashing down. Witnesses later said it looked like a giant white clam shell snapping shut. When workers lifted it with a crane, there wasn't much left of him. The news spread everywhere. Aunt had a nervous breakdown. My cousin blamed everyone else and ended up living in a shelter. The gambling debts consumed whatever remained of their lives. As for Mom, losing her brother shattered whatever illusion she had left. Without Dad's money, without her audience, without anyone praising her elegance, she became just another lonely woman in a small apartment filled with luxury handbags she couldn't afford to maintain. Years later she called me. "I was trying to teach you not to worship money." I looked around Dad's office. The business had recovered. He'd rebuilt everything from scratch. Employees were laughing outside. People were being paid fairly. Bills were paid. Lives were stable. "No, Mom." My voice was calm. "You were teaching me to let people use me." Silence. Then she quietly hung up. When I inherited Dad's company years later, I kept one framed photograph in my office. Not of our mansion. Not of our wealth. Not of any luxury. It was a picture of Dad standing in front of the nearly empty apartment we moved into after selling everything to survive. Because that was when I finally learned the difference between valuing money and worshiping it. Money wasn't evil. Money was a tool. The people who constantly claimed to be above it were usually the first to reach for someone else's wallet.